Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Extra. So today, of course, we'll be talking about the health, talking about family planning, analysis on the myths, beliefs, and practices. So family planning is a vital aspect of public health that involves the use of contraceptive methods to help individuals and families control the timing and number of children that they can have. So in Nigeria, family planning practices are deeply influenced by cultural, religious, and societal factors. Despite efforts by the health organizations to promote its benefits, the various myths, misconceptions, and beliefs still persist, often deterring people from adopting effective contraceptive methods. So these myths include fears of infertility, health risks, or moral concerns, many of which are rooted in misinformation or cultural traditions. So joining us to do justice to this topic is Dr. Agbor Neji Ebuta, consultant family physician, also the Vice President Medical Initiative for Africa. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, Fatima. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, and thank you for sparing up your time for us. So, doctor, let's talk about more sensitization for our people. So, what is the current stage, the state that we're at in Nigeria when it comes to family planning acceptance?
Well, family planning, the uptake is quite low in Nigeria. Basically, we are looking at less than 20%. And depending on which part of the country you are, we are even operating at less than 5%. But when you look at the average for Nigeria, well, probably uptake is less than 20%. And also, when you look at the different methods, the uptake even dives even lower. So generally speaking, family planning uptakes are generally low in Nigeria, especially the hormone-based uptakes that are believed to have side effects, that are believed to impact on infertility. And then there are some other beliefs that are supposed to would fall in within the purview of conspiracy theories, where some people strongly believe that some of these injectables or medications are actually going to modify their long-term fertility potential and also even increase their risk of death.
So, but what are the other barriers that is preventing some people from taking this family planning?
If you want to look at barriers, you have several approaches to address those barriers. There are policy barriers, there are institutional framework barriers, you have a community and social bias, and then you have the bias that happens within the home to a large extent, and then you have the general bias that has to do with access and information. So if you look at the country as a whole, you have to look at the policies. What are the policies that encourage the access? Do we have excellent policies that ensure that people have the knowledge, people have access at an affordable rate and sustainable, and people have post application care? Where even if they have complications or if they have concerns, if they have side effects, or if they intend to stop using fertility products, as the case may be, do they have the kind of support? So do we have that institutional framework and policy? That's number one. Number two, the challenges of access, really. We have about 39,000 health facilities estimated to be in Nigeria. Out of these 39,000 health facilities, 33,000 are expected to be primary health care centers. But we do know that only 20% of primary health care centers are functioning at the level of providing the kind of care they are supposed to provide. Now, one of the critical care in order to deepen access to family planning is to offer this at the primary health care level. And at the primary health care level, to a large extent, if you have only 20% of your facilities functioning at the primary health care level, that again will significantly reduce access. So that again is a problem that will undermine the capacity for our people to access family planning services. So that is at the level of infrastructure. Then let us look at it at the level of the availability of medications and consumables. We do know that some of these family planning inputs can be condoms, barrier methods, they can be tablets, they can be injectables, and they can also be implants. These medications may not be readily available. We do know that presently we import 70% of our inputs. 70% of the drugs that are utilized in our dear country are imported. We also know that because of the changes in the exchange rate and all of that, this has significantly impacted the amount of cross-border volume, international business, international transactions that are associated with the importation. So this has, to a large extent, reduced the amount of some of these medications that are available. It has also driven the cost locally. So you now have a situation where we probably have fewer of those drugs coming in, and we also have a challenge with the cost, and you have people who may have been able to afford some of these medications due to cost barrier would now also have a new challenge of being unable to especially again because some of these inputs are supposed to be offered to the health insurance, but our health insurance uptake is less than 10%. We're probably doing 19 million people on insurance right now, and we're 230 million persons. And if you do 10% of that, that's 23 million. But we're doing 19 million on the national health insurance. So this again is also a significant factor. But let us leave the general institutional factors, or before that, let us also consider in terms of human resource. So you cannot just go to a pharmacy or a health facility and then the drug is sitting there and you dive off your hand and pick up the drug and start applying it. No, you will be counseled. So there's a process to assessing family health, family planning. You will receive some form of counseling, the precise family planning method that is best suited for you will be agreed upon, and then depending on the type of family planning method, there is some form of technique and ability on the part of the health worker that is required to apply and supervise the application of this family planning method to a large extent. So you need human resource for health distributed evenly. But what is the situation we do have right now? We presently have between 6.5 to about 16%, depending on the kind of the data you are using, of the medical doctors that we require in this country. We do require 380,000 medical doctors, but we have less than that. Depending on the data you're looking at, the data will flow between 35,000 to 55,000 doctors. So we do have a challenge with human resource. The same applies to nurses, pharmacists, and all of that. So that is a barrier. So in certain parts of the country, to a large extent, you do not have you don't have the health worker density that is required to provide this. That is not to say that we cannot strategically take some decisions, even with our limited resources, to address this. But like I said, we are looking at the general factors. Now, if you now come to the community and the individual, these are all.
Let's take a pause to that. Now, on Tuesday, we had a lengthy conversation on this, and one of the things that you just said, was repeated, or it was said, and then you echoed it, was the fact that even the insurance is not even covering, and that is one of the most scary part, because even the 10% that you're talking about, that same insurance, there are still limitations to it. You go to hospital and the insurance company will tell you, no, you're not, this is not part of what we're covering and all of that. So there is that concern. But for Nigerians that can even push themselves to say, okay, we just have to we're in a point that we have the money, perhaps we can at least afford it. And with all this, barriers that is happening in the healthcare sector, what are the misconceptions, the myths that you must have encountered in your career?
Well, there are several myths. A very common myth, obviously, is that once you start those injections, they are going to permanently undermine your capacity for fertility when you want to achieve fertility post-control. So, and there are some myths, there are other some beliefs. Some people also believe that some of these contraceptive medications and implants have agents that are supposed to promote other interests or some foreign interest, as the case may be, to a large extent. So those myths are truly there. And there are some facts that are kind of on the borderline with myth. Some of these facts include the fact that contraceptive may impact on the weight of the patients to a large extent. Now, sometimes some of these facts are stretched to a point that they become myths, because some patients believe that once you add when you add weight that is associated with contraceptive, that you may never ever lose that weight, but that is not correct. Yes, contraceptives can impact weight, but that is basically a metabolic thing. That is, it means that it may impact the way your metabolism works, but if you are able to maintain a significant lifestyle, eating right, exercising right, you indeed can maintain your weight. And there are some contraceptive methods that are weight neutral, and indeed there are some that it has been reported that you may even lose a bit of weight when you start using it.
Oh yeah, so thank you so much for even talking about the misconception and the methods that are being used. I mean, last week when we picked some of the calls, some families are saying they agree to the family planning processes that the government is trying to look into, granting access to both women and young girls to partake if they wish to. But then there are other aspects of the discussion which pounded more on the health risks involved with the methods and how it's going to be managed for those that may want to likely partake in it. And then are there the misconceptions about the contraceptive use? What do you think should be done in this case?
Well, I think it's about education. Education is a vaccine. Education is a medication. Education is treatment. Education is prevention. So once you deprive people of ignorance, it illuminates their pathway to a large extent. It deepens understanding, builds their confidence. A lot of these myths are coming from a place of ignorance. So we need to educate our people. We need to use gatekeepers, religious leaders. We need to use traditional leaders. We need to use community women leaders, community and youth leaders. We need to use informal methods and formal methods. We need to use the social media, and we need to deliver this information using very strategic methods, using compelling storytelling methods, and all of that. So we need to educate our people. With the advent of artificial intelligence, we don't even need to do interpretation. Just one medium can deliver the same message in multiple languages to everybody concerned. We can deliver messages to people's phone right now, tailored to their needs, using artificial intelligence. So the role of artificial intelligence, the social media, can be deployed here. Every year, or rather every Sunday, a significant up to 45 to 47% of Nigerians are involved in one religious activity or the other. They go to their churches, they go to their various worship houses. Every Friday, almost the same percentage again, go to the mosques to interact with their imams and their religious leaders. This is an amazing opportunity for us to reach out. So we cannot just think of solutions without leveraging on already existing frameworks. Imagine delivering clearly well-articulated and concise messages through religious leaders. We will reach 80 to 90% of Nigerians every Friday and every Sunday. Within a weekend break, we can reach 90% of Nigerians. I mean, when you think about that and you consider that it is possible, it's something that we have failed to deploy.
Yeah. So, doctor, let's talk about the priorities of future of the future of family planning. In your perspective, what do you think? If at all we allow this misconception to continue to go forward, what do you think it would? What would be the implication for us as a nation? And also, how can we make the future good? In terms of family planning awareness.
It's well. Well, Nigeria is poised to overtake the US in the next couple of years. We are going to be the third most populous country and in the world. We are overtaking Brazil and all of these other countries, and we are overtaking US very soon. That is not because we are suddenly better off. It's simply because we have an unregulated reproduction, family planning, and active family planning, and we have a failed reproduction policy to a large extent. About between 2.7 to 3.3% of our population growth is basically as a result of increased reproduction. So our numbers will continue to increase. This would mean that if we were to retain certain policies, the pressure on the economy will increase. We have a fixed landmass, but if our population continues to increase and we are not doing anything about economy and all the other factors, there will be more pressure. We will need more doctors, we need more roads, we will need more institutions, we will need more schools, and that will put a lot of pressure. Already, as we know, prior to recent interventions in the power sectors, Nigerian power sector did not grow as fast as our population. At about the independence of this country, we were just about 50 million people running over all over this space, and right now we are about 236 million. We have increased by over 300% in our population. In fact, about 400 plus percent in our population. Now, our infrastructure has not increased at the same pace. So imagine that the rate at which our infrastructure increases is not commensurate with the potential increase in our population. If we continue at this rate, the pressure will be too much. So we must be able to control, take steps to control population. Illiteracy in certain parts of this country is as much as 70%. We have at least between 14 to 16 million out of school children as we speak presently. So if we give birth to more children, they go into the cycle of poverty, especially if we do not have planning. So families must be able to plan their families in such a way that they can give birth to children, take care of them, and the government has a plan for those children. And you can only do that if it's well organized and paced. People should be able to take some level of responsibilities.
Okay, all right, Doctor.
For the kids that they bring, the children that they bring into the world.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it, but then could it be that maybe the side effect is also one reason why some families don't want to partake in the family planning? Because as a doctor, I'm sure maybe you've encountered a situation where women may come and the side effects may be so intense, and it's something that could put fear in the hearts of other women to want to maybe indulge in this family planning processes.
Okay, so I would also want to clear up something first. The family planning methods, they are natural family planning methods, apart from the artificial family planning methods, so to speak. So education is important. It's not everybody that may need some form of medication or intervention for family planning control. They are also very well tested natural family planning methods, although their failure rate is high. So for people who are not very comfortable with adopting some of these medications that they suspect the side effects are too much, we should teach them about the natural family planning method. In my clinic, for example, I'm a consultant family physician, but it will shock you to know that I see some very educated people who are not even aware of natural family planning methods. So they are natural family planning methods. They are family planning methods that do not have any significant side effects. Even the use of barrier method female condoms, male condoms. These are all family planning methods. These are not the side effects, except you have allergy to latex, for example, or the agent that's used in producing the condom. These are side effects. They do not have side effects to a large extent. There are other medications that, yes, they may have some form of metabolic, they may adjust your metabolism to a large extent, but in most patients, the side effects are not that much. So this is the information that needs to go out there. That you may notice some side effects. If you do, let your health practitioner know, and you will be advised appropriately. It's not everybody that will benefit from the same method. So we need to personalize method. But more importantly, we need to get the message out there that under family planning methods, there are natural family planning methods, which are also quite a number. It's not just one method. There are different methods: coitus interruptus, the use of billing method, the use of temperature monitoring. Apart from that, so before you even start talking of the use of condoms, the use of tablets, the use of injectables, the use of implants, and the rest. So family planning methods are numerous, and we should talk to our people, we should counsel them, we should offer them options. When a patient is not ready to start the use of pills or tablets or injections, such a patient should be properly educated on what natural family planning method and prepared.
Okay.
Consulted and counseled until the point the patient makes up their mind on when and which of the methods they will decide to opt for. And when they opt for a method, they should be supported. When you start a method, you come for follow-up. We check whether you have side effects. We can advise you to a large extent. So it's very important. Even if everybody in Nigeria decides to use the natural family planning method, we will also, to a large extent, put a dent on our high delivery rates in this country,
doctor,
which has significant impact.
I've seen a couple of women that have actually complained about the side effect of this family planning, especially in terms of, maybe when they use the implants on the injectables that you talked about, and after removing, they have excessive bleedings, and they add more weight and stuff. So how can this be managed? Because it's possible, like I said, that could actually put fear in the hearts of other women that may want to partake in this.
100%. Some of these interventions can cause bleeding. Some of these interventions can cause excessive bleeding. Some of these interventions can make adjust fertility even when you stop them. But like I said, all they need is proper counseling and support. The risk, the benefits, once you do a risk-benefit analysis for a patient, once the benefit outweighs the risk, you should offer that intervention to that patient. And support is continuous. They are not interventions. There are some interventions, you give it to the patients, and the patient can just go on and live their life. They don't need to come back to see you. But there are interventions that the patient needs to come back for follow-up to check how they are responding to the treatment and everything. So yes, when women have side effects to any medication, it's not only family planning medications. If you have a side effect to diabetic medication, hypertensive medication, even anti-malarial medication or antibiotic, you are supposed to go back and see your doctor. So even when you take paracetamol, excessive use of paracetamol can cause liver inflammations and to a large extent. So an excessive use of some pain medications can cause ulcer, irritations in the stomach. So interventions are not without potential for side effects, but once you have information, a supportive healthcare worker who knows his onions and is able to give counseling, most of these challenges will be resolved. If you see we have 20% uptake of contraceptive method, it is not a complete failure. That means that out of 130 million or 120 million Nigerian women, some of them, about maybe 10 to 15 million, are using some form of contraceptive method, and a significant percentage of these are tablets, injectables, implants, and other interventions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agbor, for being taking out time to be part of this discussion. I'm sure Nigerians must have gained one or two things from this.
Appreciate the statistics.
Always always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have been talking with Dr. Agbor Neji Ebuta. He's a consultant family physician, vice president, medical initiative for Africa. And, that must have been a very insightful conversation. And I'm sure a lot of you would have taken one or two lectures or lessons, I'll say, from this that may want to, consider partaking in the family planning if you wish. Like I said last week, nobody is forcing anyone to do this, but it's a matter of choice. So, well, let's go on a quick break. And when we return, we would dive into some entertainment stories with Summayya. As usual, we can't wait to hear what she has to say. But let's leave you with this first aid report.
On any given Tuesday evening after work, Jabi Lake is the site for people to ease the day's stress. Dr. Gani Idris Muhammad and his group of friends have been coming here for years.
Been a participant here for quite some years. This is a group of, let's say, committee of friends that comes and play ball together. So we have like a cadre of people whom are professionals from the formal sector. Most of the group of friends are kind of family friends that we bring to the pitch to come and play with us.
But what happens when someone sprains an ankle or gets a muscle pull? First aid could save people faced with life-threatening health emergencies. But research shows 9 out of 10 Nigerians do not have basic first aid skills.
The level of awareness when it comes to first aid is basically known to those in the formal sector because they are quite enlightened and educated. However, those in the informal sector, some of them just know that, okay, when someone fell off in the pitch, the only thing they need to do is to maybe get a bag of pure water or get let's just say a form of aid to just take him off the pitch to provide him with the necessary. But I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I think people are on a 5 when it comes to awareness with first aid.
Is a fault that emanated from our educational system. Some of these things ought to be taught. Some health knowledge are supposed to be imparted, even probably from primary school, secondary school, even not primary schools, about what to do when somebody around you happen to have maybe collapsed. Some health dangers and the immediate thing that ought to be done to help the person.
So here are some tips that could come in handy.
If it's an open wound injury, maybe something like if I have the kit, because I may not be moving around with the kit all the time, maybe the kit in my car, something like iodine, you want to apply that to the wound. But in the case of somebody collapsing and probably fainting, where mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is required, I don't know what to do.
First treatment to give an accident victim, let's say deep cut, before the arrival of a doctor or medical personnel. To me, I would say first of all is to cleanse the wound. So in case of infections, germs, because that's the first thing, depends on the type of injury, just like I said. And then after that, if, let's say for example, let's say there's no first aid box or anything nearby. First of all, after treating the wound, moisturizing it, I feel we should tie that area in the sense of to avoid excess blood loss.